No one will ever love you like I love you. No, don't go see your family. Stay here. You're such a fake bitch. Why didn't you answer your phone? Were you with someone else? You must be cheating on me. You're stupid and you'll never amount to anything. I'm sorry. I love you. You know that, right? Physical abuse is easier to see the effects of. There are tangible scars and bruises. But emotional abuse can have the same, if not worse, effects of abuse, but there is no physical evidence of the trauma. These things are all stuff that we've heard said on TV or in movies or even in our everyday lives, but what do we do about it? Emotional abuse is just as damaging as physical abuse, but there's not enough attention on emotionally abusive relationships and their long-lasting trauma. In order to stop emotionally abusive relationships, we need to start on a smaller scale first by intervening one case at a time. In this speech, I will go over what emotional abuse is, why it is hard to detect, its effects on its victims, and the way we can help stop it. So, in order for us to really look at the issue, I should first explain what emotional abuse is. Emotional abuse is a lot of different things, and it can be different in each and every relationship. And this relationship can be a romantic relationship or a friendship, and it's important to note that friendships can be just as damaging as the romantic relationships. And it happens in all types of romantic relationships as well. And this is important to every single college student, because a study done by OneLove.org found that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men between the ages of 16 and 24 will experience some sort of abusive relationship. Some examples of abusive actions would be being controlling of what the other person can or cannot do, saying degrading or hurtful things, and then justifying it through the victim's actions. An example of this would be calling them a dumb bitch for getting a D on a test, or telling them that they can't go see their friends because they have to spend time with them instead. And making the relationship codependent is also a really big part of this. Codependency is basically when they insert themselves into every single facet of their victims' lives, and that makes it really hard for them to get out of it, because that means that every single part of their life would be missing some sort of piece. So, if this is such a big issue, why is it so hard to recognize? They're often hard to identify quickly because there's always manipulation in these relationships. And with the development of technology, texting, and social media, you can remotely manipulate someone from across the country even, and you obviously can't tell the same way that you can overhear a conversation in text messages. And it's a lot harder to express concern for people as well because of this. There's no obvious physical harm or bruises that you can show them and say that this is concerning you. And it's also much easier to deny because of the manipulation, and you can also just say that it's a very close or affectionate relationship. Now, there has also been a large movement of romanticizing unhealthy relationships through books, TV, and movies, and just calling them extremely close or affectionate. One example or two that I thought of were 50 Shades of Grey, which kind of speaks for itself, I think, and Twilight, where the main character, Bella, is manipulated by her boyfriend by telling her that she can't go see another boy, and he goes as far as to take the engine out of her car, or watching her sleep without her knowing, which is just creepy to me, but okay. Then we have the TV show Pretty Little Liars, which is really popular on ABC Family, which target audience is literally teenage girls. And these two relationships in particular, Paige and Emily, and Arya and Ezra. Ezra is Arya's English teacher, and he's like in his 30s, and she's 16. And Paige here just attempted to drown Emily before they started dating. Now, this is a little bit of an extreme case, but nevertheless, showing people that this is okay is teaching young girls that it's okay to be treated like this, and it's even kind of romantic and hot, which is not okay. And the last thing is Beauty and the Beast. Now, we're showing 3-year-old girls, keep this in mind, that being locked in a castle and made to like fall in love with this person is like okay and acceptable, and that it's not completely creepy, and that this isn't like Stockholm Syndrome or something, which is just outrageous, to be honest with you. But I mean, okay, great. Then now we need to move on to the effects on the victims. What are these people experiencing after they are out of these relationships? And it's extremely hard for these victims to also leave, because like I said earlier, the abusers often insert themselves into literally every single part of their life. It's every single thing that you can imagine. So if this person left, it would be absolutely catastrophic to the way that they've been living for this long. And emotional abuse is also a much more personal and like maniacal attack on the person themselves, and it's a lot more catered to who they are, and so it makes it very hard and can have really long-lasting consequences for these people. And emotional scars fade even slower than physical ones, and there's actually a psychological change that happens when you're that attached to a person and that they control you that much. And being in one emotionally abusive relationship can negatively impact every single relationship that the victim has after that. From either they are too afraid to commit to someone for fear of the same thing happening again, or they put themselves into this cycle of abuse where they can't get out because they just continue to put themselves in relationships that are abusive because it's what they were taught is love. Now, there can be effects on every single aspect of their lives, so it's hard for these people to move past it. So, I've told you about how crappy these relationships are, but what can we do to help the people who have suffered, and what can we do to stop them? I would love to sit here and tell you that I came up with this plan that was going to stop emotionally abusive relationships from happening ever again, but unfortunately, because it's a very personal matter, there's just nothing we can do to stop it across the board. But we can stop it on a case-by-case basis by reaching out to victims and creating a support system for them and letting them know that they are not alone and that the people are here to help them. Now, one of the biggest ways to stop emotional abuse is to intervene when you see it happening. According to statistics, every single person in this room or watching this video has experienced some sort of emotionally abusive relationship in their lifetime. That you could have come across one, a friend, a family member. So there's always something that you can do to help stop them. Now, what are some steps that you can take? Listen. These people have been told that the only person who is going to listen to them and that knows anything about them and that cares about them is their abuser. So if you can prove them wrong, that will be a great way to help them get out of it. Ask specific questions. This means basically instead of just saying, oh, your boyfriend's an asshole, you should get out of this relationship, you should say, oh, he told you to go change your shirt because you look like a whore. How do you feel about that? Be patient. These people are, again, being told that no one will ever care about them again. So that's really scary to leave that situation and try to go out and live on your own. So they might go back to them 1, 2, 3 more times after you come in contact and confront them about the relationship. And it's important to be patient with them while they are going through this. And lastly, be a resource. This means that you should ask them if they want to come stay with you, or if you can just give them numbers to local shelters to help them out and get through this. These are 3 places that are in San Francisco area that will are very helpful to women in these situations. You have Women Inc., La Casa de las Madres, and San Francisco Domestic Violence Consortium. These are all really good resources, and they all have hotlines, shelters, and places for people to get help and psychological services as well. Emotional abuse has been neglected from attention for far too long, and it is time to take a serious look at the effects of it and the severity of the situation and act. Every single person can do something to help end emotional abuse by simply not being a bystander to it when it is noticed and reaching out to victims.